Good afternoon, YouTube. This is Chuck, and it's a Sunday afternoon, December 31st, New Year's Eve. And as you can see, I'm sitting in the van, and I'm sitting in here because it's a little chilly outside, and it's a little comfortable in here. I think the lighting is good, and this just seemed like a good place to get my thoughts together. And I figured I'd make one last video this year. And I say that if I happen to run onto something exciting a little bit later, I could always add another one. But right now, this is the plan. And when I was posting my videos that I shot when my recent trip to Wickenburg, I had one of my subscribers ask me if I had any Sasquatch activity over in Wickenburg. And so the short answer to that is yes, I did. But it was pretty. It wasn't what I would have liked to have had, but it was enough to let me know they're there. But it's a little bit difficult to describe exactly what happened. So I wasn't gonna make this video, but I decided that I probably should, because it's to explain it, it's if I start from the beginning, this thing's going to be very lengthy. So what I'm going to tell you first is YouTube recently allowed us to put together something called a podcast. And the podcast, you can link together videos, multiple videos. And what I did is I linked together my Bigfoot Stuff #1 through Bigfoot Stuff #10 videos in the form of a podcast. So in order to understand exactly where we're coming from, so I don't have to start explaining everything from scratch, if you haven't done it already, go over to the homepage of my channel and go to podcasts and watch that. And that'll tell you exactly what we've learned over the years. And the last one, Bigfoot Stuff #10, will tell you how to do exactly what we do. So having said that, that's my disclaimer. So let me tell you a little bit about Wickenburg area. Well, we know from our dealings with the Sasquatch people that they're pretty much everywhere. There's a lot of them. I can't even make a guess as to how many. There may be more of them than there are of us, actually. And they're an old species. They're older than we are. And what that tells you is that they most likely have lived in the Wickenburg area for, good golly, centuries, maybe thousands of years. Who knows? And so there's no reason to believe that they're not still around. They were obviously there before Wickenburg was there, and so they probably move a little bit, because we went in their living room, and as I've said before, we basically moved into their living room and started busting up the furniture, because we're not a really nice species. We kind of, we come in like a conquering army and do all kinds of things to the land. And their lifespan's about 3 times ours, so that means that the ones that were there, they've seen everything that we've done bad since we've been there. But there's no reason to believe they're not there. And add to that, a number of years ago, I actually investigated a BFRO report of some homeless family that, well, they weren't homeless at the time they filed the report, but about 20 years prior to that, they had fallen on some hard times, and they lived in a tent in the river bottom, the Hacienda River bottom, south of Wickenburg for a while, till they were getting back on their feet to get a place to live. And they actually had a young female actually came into their camp, and they saw her in daylight in full solid form on a number of occasions while they were living there. And she never curious, never hostile, hung around the camp. One time they had been gone somewhere, and when they got home, she was standing right in the middle of their camp looking at their stuff, and they saw her a number of times. I found no reason to believe that this was a made-up story. The guy seemed to be a pretty straight-up guy about that. Another thing that I experienced myself is a couple of years ago, we were coming back from the Quartzsite area or Parker or someplace that direction, and as we were coming into town from the west on US 60, just before coming into town itself, I got a very, very strong highway hair tingle, very strong, from a little hill that was located on the south side of the highway there. And, and that told me that they were there. Now, I'm going to talk real briefly about the highway hair tingle, because I've talked about that before. they make a neurological connection with you, and the neurological connection can range all the way from a slight tingle all the way up to a pretty strong zap. And when they do the "hi, we're here" tingle, and I'm going to try to see if I can hold this with one hand. When they do the "hi, we're here" tingle, with me, what it feels like, it's right up in here, and it feels like a little combination of a little pressure feeling with a little electrical shock feeling. And it's right about in here. And the only time I ever feel that is when they're around. Now, when they really turn it up and hard, it'll actually, with me anyway, it'll feel like somebody's got a big electrical cord and they're plugging it in the side of your head. I mean, it really feels that intense. And but a lot of times the young ones like to watch traffic go by. They've even told us that. And so they'll sit on a hill, usually alongside a highway, and they'll just watch the traffic. And that's their entertainment. And I felt that many times, many places, many states, all the way up in Montana and Idaho and places. I felt that. And so So I felt that a couple of years ago coming into Wickenburg. So I was pretty sure that they were around there somewhere. And this actually, where I felt that at, was actually not too far away from the airport. So I kind of figured they were watching traffic and watching the planes too. So I had a kind of I already was pretty sure they were around. So the RV park that we stayed at, and you can go back and watch the little video I did about where we stayed at, and it was right on the riverbank and of the Hassayampa River. And so I figured the riverbed would be a good place. And so I kind of, I tried to pay attention. I tried to pay attention for that tingling feeling, the "hi, we're here" tingle. Well, when we got over there on Friday the 22nd, we drove through a storm to get there, but the weather had cleared up by the time we got there. And when I was setting up the trailer, it was dry. And it was mid-afternoon, and I got the trailer all set up and got all done. And I was outside on the little patio there and kind of looking over at the trees. And the riverbank's got a lot of tamarask trees. And, of course, tamarasks they're an invasive species. They were something we brought here, too. And now they've taken over the place. And very, very difficult to get rid of once they get established. But anyway, that's the trees that were there. And so I kind of looked over that direction. I kind of tried to reach out in mind speak and say, hey, are any of you there? And when I did that, I got the "hi, we're here" tingle. So I immediately responded back and I said, hey, I felt that. And, you know, you can make that stronger if you like. Thank you. And I'm glad you're here. And, you know, can you tell me, you know, what's your name? And I got back, I was pretty sure I got it. It was pretty faint, but I got back what I think the name was Lolo. Now, they use a lot of nicknames. And their formal names are some really complicated ones sometimes, and some of them we probably can't pronounce. In fact, we've been told that there are names that we can't pronounce. So they use family names, they use nicknames. Sometimes when we talk to them, they'll make up a name just for the sake of talking to us. And I'll give you an example of that. And last year for Christmas, we went down to Aho. And I never mentioned this in a video, but so I figured they'd be down there somewhere too. And so I was kind of on alert the whole time we were down there. And I didn't get anything until the last evening that we were there. And the last evening we were there, we were going to leave in the morning. And I got a pretty strong "hi, we're here" tingle, and I responded back to that. And I engaged in a little bit of back and forth mind speak with, I believe, a young male. And I asked him what his name was, and he told me his name was Aho Charlie. Well, obviously that's not his real name. That's a nickname that he apparently uses, and for some reason, you know, they knew we were going to leave in the morning, and so he decided to let me know he was there, and the name he gave me was Aho Charlie. And it was very, very clear, so I know that happened. And but this one was it was pretty faint. I wasn't 100% sure that was the name I got, but I'm pretty sure. So anyway, I believe Lolo was probably a juvenile, and I think it might have been a female. It wasn't a real clear. It wasn't clear like hit me upside the head with a 2x4 clear, but I got that. Well, almost every day, at some point in time, sometimes multiple times a day, I would get the highway hair tingle. But I could never get anybody to respond back to me. And then we're back in Wickenburg again on this trip. I couldn't get anybody to respond back to me. Well, another thing that happened, and we were there 7 nights. 3 of those nights, after dark, I'd take a Flapjack out so he could go potty one last time. Well, there was Flapjack. He'd come out the trailer and he'd look right across at the tamarask trees in one spot. He'd look same spot all the time. And when he'd look over there, all of a sudden he'd immediately get scared and turn around and want to go back inside. He wouldn't even go potty. He wanted to go back inside, and that was it. Well, I've learned to pay attention to him when he does that. And that usually, because the dogs can see, when we can't see the forest people, dogs and horses still can. And we think cats can too, but of course cats won't tell us anything. But anyway, so 3 nights out of 4. And after when he did that the first night, I also got a little bit of a tingle as well. And I actually said out loud, I said, will you please stop scaring my dog? He needs to go potty. And I think there was, here again, probably a juvenile, probably a teenager. And he was letting me know he was there by scaring the dog. And what's interesting is 4 nights that didn't happen. 3 nights it did. So how do you explain it? How do you explain it? You know, he looked over the same spot every time. And as soon as he saw it, you could see his demeanor change. He immediately looked scared and immediately started dragging me back to the door like a sled dog. Well, then I made a video that I shot actually on Christmas Eve on the old bridge. Well, the old bridge is located not too far from where we were staying. It was within walking distance. And in order to keep pedestrians from crossing the busy highway there, they actually ran a sidewalk, real nice sidewalk, wheelchair accessible, underneath the bridge from one side to the other. So you can go up onto the old pedestrian bridge, and of course I filmed all that, so you can go back and look at those videos. I really like that for some reason. I don't even know why, but anyway, that's not the story. So the Christmas Eve, we started walking in the afternoon. We started to walk over, and when we got to that bridge, he looked out underneath the bridge near the first bridge support. And once again, he got that feeling of scared and immediately turned around and started trying to drag me the other direction. I looked over there where he had been looking at, and I didn't see anything. But I said, there was nobody else around, so I said out loud, I said, we need to walk through here. Will you please stop scaring my dog? My dog needs to be able to go. We need to go the other side, and will you please stop scaring my dog so that we can cross underneath here? That's all we want to do. I know you're there. And as soon as I said that, then immediately Flapjack was fine. And we walked, you know, he was a little cautious still, but we walked through through that bridge, the other side, did everything, then came back, went through the other direction, going home. And once again, he was kind of on guard a little bit when we walked under that bridge. But he did it. He wasn't scared. But that one time he was. So the last we were there for seven nights, and the first 5 I had a little bit of highway hair tingle activity. The last couple I really didn't. It wasn't really. Yeah, I told them that we had to leave, and I'm sure they were there, and I'm sure somebody was listening. But I didn't get any. I didn't get any acknowledgement at all. Well, now fast forward up to Friday, last Friday, the 29th, when we were leaving. We packed up and we pulled out about 10 o'clock, and the US 60 coming out of Wickenburg, heading toward the Metro Phoenix area, runs along the Hassayampa River for a few miles before it climbs up onto the open desert there near Morristown and Whitman and so forth, heading down toward Surprise and Glendale and Metro Phoenix. Well, we cut across Arizona State 74, the Carefree Highway, and we go over toward Carefree. But anyway, running along the bottom of that riverbed, there's something down there called the Hassayampa River Preserve. And now we're driving 55 mile an hour, towing a trailer, going home. Nice day, not in heavy traffic. And we're driving along there, and I got along that river preserve, and I got very, very definite, very strong highway hair tingle. that stayed with me for about a half a mile. Well, that told me that they were there in that area, and they were acknowledging me as I go by. And just a lot of times what I think they do, and to explain that maybe a little further, is they know we can't see them. And if you got human kids that are sitting someplace watching traffic go by, they're waving at the cars. And if somebody happens to see them wave back, that's pretty cool. They like that. Well, I think that the young forest people, when they're doing the same thing, it's not visible, but when they reach out every once in a while, they'll hit somebody that knows they're there, and they'll respond back to them in mind speak, or an acknowledgement that they're there. And they get pretty excited by that, and you can feel that excitement. And I've done that many times. Well, I had that happen Friday, driving by that section of the riverbank. So I'm pretty sure that there's a family group there. Now, while I was there, another thing I did, and while I was in Wickenburg, is I got a friend that's interested in the subject matter, lives there. His name is Jesse, and so I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm going to be in town. So he came over and visited with me one evening. And we had a good talk about some of the stuff, and I told him I'm sure they're there somewhere, and it gave him some hints as to what to look for. And he has not had his aha moment yet, and so he's still wanting to have an aha moment. Well, after I got home, I texted him back and I said, hey, go down there. I think that I'm pretty sure there's a family group down there, and that might be, if you're looking for him, that might be a good place to go start looking for him. And I told him about what to pay attention to, and the hard part is putting your mind in neutral, because to receive that, because most of us got so many things going on that our mind is going 100 miles an hour in 10 different directions all the time. So one of the things I've had to learn to do is to try to put that all out of my mind to where I'm receptive to that. So anyway, this has gone on a little bit longer than I thought it was going to, and I hope I've explained it adequately. But did I have activity in Wickenburg? Yeah, I did. Did I get a name? Yeah, I think I did. Did I get any real solid interaction with anybody? No, I didn't. I had several possible highway hair tingles, encounters, whatever you want to call that. Didn't see anything. I didn't see any of them cloaked. I didn't see anything like that. Other than the name, I didn't get any real solid mind speak. But I did get quite a number of highway hair tingles. I got the sense of excitement and confusion that I get from the young ones when all of a sudden they realize that somebody knows they're there. And I've talked about that before, so there's other videos on the subject. But I think I'll wrap this one up, and I'll say that once again, it's New Year's Eve. I hope all of you had a good 2023. Tomorrow we start a whole new year, and who knows what that'll bring. I don't know when I'll be getting out doing any more squatching, but however, in February, there's going to be a Bigfoot symposium down in the far east side of the Metro Phoenix area, and our whole group is going to be down there, and my partner Kevin's going to be presenting, and we'll be doing a roundtable. So I'll talk a little bit more about that as the date gets a little bit closer. And my next road trip, I'm going to be... right now, my plan is to, third week of January, is I'm going to go over to Quartzsite Ehrenberg area for about a week and go be van boy. And I'm going to try to put in a couple days at the RTR and then go over to Ehrenberg and put in a couple days at Schoolie-Palooza. And last year I was going to go do that, and the weather turned south at the last minute, and I decided not to, and I probably should have gone anyway, but we'll see what the weather holds this time. I have every intention of going for a week and just living out of the van and talking to some nomads and looking at some rigs and just doing that thing for a few days just for something different. So right now I'll end this one by telling you to be kind to each other and love each other and be kind to yourself and make some good solid New Year's resolutions for 2024 and something that you're going to stick with. And I think it's going to be an interesting year. The world situation appears to be deteriorating, so who knows what it's going to bring, but hopefully it'll bring peace and happiness to us all, and hopefully you'll have a good year. Hopefully I'll have a good year. And this is my first full calendar year running this channel, and it's been kind of fun so far, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the community that I've built up, and I appreciate all you being here. And with that, I guess nothing more to do but point the camera back over here so I can find the button and give you one look at my bottom yard there and tell you peace out.